In a market defined by uncertainty, where every second counts, one opportunity can change everything. Are you ready to make your move? The time is now! Welcome to the Dream is Real podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to The Dream is Real. This is the place if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest or advance your career in New York real estate. Before we get started, make sure that you like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Don't want you to miss an episode as we continue to bring you great content. And today is no different. You know, what happens when a computer science major from Staten Island decides to build a home service empire here on Long Island? We're going to find out. I'm going to introduce you to a guest that we've had on before, Phil DePaul, CEO of Boom Zeal Enterprises and franchise owner-operator of One Tom Plumber. Welcome back.
Thanks, my man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
I love the pink.
Yeah.
Man, you
I brought you a gift today, too.
That's it. This is awesome. This is awesome. Hope I don't have to put it to use. No offense. Never a good day when you got to grab the plunger.
It's not.
But it happens, right?
It does.
Can I say it? What happens?
It happens, bro. It happens.
It does. It does. But so, just to bring everybody up to speed, you are a multifaceted entrepreneur who motivates many, and I believe has embarked on a bit of mentorship and motivation and teaching people to do what you do, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things to do is just pass on knowledge. And sometimes knowledge is not knowing. It's like, it's the lessons that you learn, the painful ones. You know, in my philosophy, I refer to them as scars. You know, and the scars that you could be proud of. And the truth is, sometimes the ones that you should be proudest of are the deepest, ugliest ones. So I like to try to find ways to pass that on to my team, to the community, you know, friends, family, anybody, honestly, anybody I come in contact with. So I guess that's the philosophy that my businesses are built on, is that I want to share the journey with others who not only want to grow professionally, but want to grow personally. I love trying to do my little part to inspire the next generation. You know, we were chatting before, I pop into local high schools through some different programs. And again, just try to be a force, right? Be a force for good, at least, you know, what I believe to be good. And yeah, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I like to try stuff. I'm not afraid to lose. I hate losing, you know, I'll risk it. And the main reason why I like to play the game of business, is I just want to see what I can learn about myself, right? The only way you know the dream is real is if you dream, you know, and you got to dream big, and the more you feel, the more you know you're real. So I guess that's my spin on it.
And pursuing that with action as well, right?
It's all about action. You know, for a long time in my life, I've always been action oriented. I don't sit still well. You know, if I can stay in the chair for 25, 30 minutes, that'll be amazing today, right? But action, like, there's a difference between being busy, being productive, and having an impact, you know? And different people have different scales, and sometimes we got to unlock our brains, I think, to just see, wait, what am I capable of? Like, is what I'm doing moving the needle enough for me? Is it moving the needle for anybody else? You know, am I a leader worth following? Am I a leader at all? Am I even leading my own life? Or does society make the decisions for me because I just kind of follow along with trends and whatever, you know, social forces are kind of impacting me? So that's just, you're getting into my worldview a little bit, because I think it's all interconnected. So,
right, and so your corner of the world is home services, right?
It is.
So
it happens to be.
You're on the restoration side. We'll talk a bit about One Tom Plumber. What do you think brought you to this industry?
My father's a plumber, so it's always kind of been, whether it's in my blood or in my family, just in my household, I've always been close to the trades. So I always had that respect for blue collar work. Now, my hands work, like I can DIY some stuff, but I definitely wasn't made to be a skilled tradesperson. but I always had a healthy respect for it. So from working on side jobs with my father when I was a kid to working inside of a plumbing wholesale business for 14 years, you know, behind the counter, behind the warehouse, the logistics, the operations, the purchasing, the pricing, inventory management, all that stuff. It gave me a really good look at rubbing shoulders with folks who day after day are fixing stuff, building stuff, you know, and then I jumped into disaster recovery work as a consultant, program project manager, New York Rising. I don't know if you're familiar, all those home elevations and rebuilds after Hurricane Sandy. Again, here I am in my career, just, you know, it wasn't a path that was laid out for me. I was just acting, right? You know, I was acting and making moves forward, and they all just happened to be in and around, again, homes, home services, buildings, the things that, and I might have even said this to you last time because I say it a lot. People always got to shit, shower, and shave.
Fair enough.
I heard that, you know, from a colleague of mine when I was a teenager, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. That makes sense. Why would I try to reinvent anything? Stick with things that aren't going out of style, you know? And that's what's great about plumbing. You know, I think it's got a little while, you know, before AI eats its lunch. And I think, and honestly, I think, you know, we're in a world, day and age that's changing a lot, but people still like hot showers. Yep. They like heat in the winter, air in the summer, you know. Nobody wants to, you know, do number one or number two in a hole in the ground in the backyard, right? Therefore, you know, yeah. Plumbing is in vogue. Nobody likes to admit it, but it is a staple of what we do. So, you know, and before I was in plumbing, I jumped into my own business, which I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do. I didn't feel like I was the shoemaker who wanted to open up a shoe shop. So I figured, let me work with a franchise. I picked off a menu and I said, you know what? Disaster remediation and restoration and water damage recovery. I can help a bunch of people. Seems like a good business model. I could use some of my project management background. It's a blend of blue collar work, white collar approach. I'm like, ooh, this makes sense, right? Quick math, act, pick something and let's go. Not because I had directly done it before, but I got to do something. I want to build a team. I want to, you know, make an impact of my own on the island. And I'm lucky enough to have some fine folks following me that have helped us, you know, stand out in the industries that we're operating in.
So you saw the need, you moved and acted to fill the void. How do you feel like when it comes to the trades, the success mindset that you put forward really establishes itself? You know, you think I think a lot of people might think of the trades and might think about turning wrenches and doing work and the technical side, which I'm sure that's all there. But bringing the mindset over, give us a sense of that.
Yeah, so, and my perspective is really going to be from the entrepreneurial perspective, because trust me, you don't want me showing up with with the tools of the trade. It'll take me too long. I won't do the best job. So when I build a team, I'm building a team based on two core things, and it's your technical ability to do the work at hand. You know, if it's restoration, then you got to be a fantastic restorative dryer, mitigator, mold remediator. And if you don't already have those skills, then either whether you do or you don't, the other side of it is your soft skills. And soft skills meaning your ability to communicate, you know, are you organized? Can you solve problems? But also, like, who are you inside? You know, how are you wired? So, you know, we're talking about the trades, but we're not just talking about the trades. We could be talking about business. We could be talking about anything in terms of, like, inside, you know, what are your core values? So I'm a big why guy and I'm a big who guy. So I'm on a journey to keep learning about myself. And one of the best expressions of learning about myself is through serving others. Whether you're building others up from like a leadership mentor standpoint, or you're literally building up their house, or you're restoring their plumbing, or, you know, you're fixing the toilet doesn't flush. Like, it's a human world, and service is a wonderful thing because you get to serve others. You know, and usually there's a currency exchange, right? There's a value proposition that a plumber, an HVAC technician, a landscaper, you know, even a realtor, right? You know, white collar, it's a service. Like, people need to be served. I have this problem or opportunity. Can you help me get through it so that it doesn't suck on the way through and it doesn't suck on the back end? And I think that's all we want. Like, when you get married, on the front end, it's all honeymoon phases, right? But like, then it gets hard. it gets real. And at the end of the day, you want to know that the hard things were worth it, that you did it with somebody that maybe you enjoyed or you respected, or again, if it's now, this is me flip-flopping, right? Transitioning back to business or a service, it's like did I trust them enough to take the leap that they're gonna, fix the thing? And are they gonna be accountable enough if something goes wrong, or if I have questions or concerns at the end of the day? So I just think that you pick any trade, any industry for that matter, you have the opportunity to make something good happen. And if you're only thinking about making something good happen for yourself, make a buck, make a dollar, do a transaction, even the word customer, I don't like. The word customer sounds like it's a one-time ring of the register.
Sure.
Like we want to build relationships.
Yeah, I've heard somebody say it like this. A lot of people are in the mindset of, oh, I do B2B, business to business, B2C, business to customer. But really, it's human to human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often do we define ourselves by what we do? And then if tomorrow you're doing something different, now, are you a different person? Right? And think about and Long Island's a big networking scene, right? You've probably given out a business card or two, right?
Just a few, yeah.
How about people who lead with the business card as if I give a shit, right? First of all, who are you? Oh, you're a realtor? Wow, I've never met a realtor before. What is a realtor?
12 in the room right now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they probably walk by 12 on the way in the door, right? Oh, you're a plumber. I'm gonna be honest, we're the pinkest. We're not the only ones around. So why? Why you? Why me? Why should I sit down here instead of go do something else? Why? We're always making trade-offs with our time, our energy, and our money. And guess what? Your time is actually your most valuable asset. So spend it with people that you like. And here's a hint, you can like your realtor. You can like your plumbing company. It could mean something more than just, can you unclog the drain? Take that, man.
Yeah, no. So you're hitting on, I think, universal principle. It's not as much about the function. The function's got to be done in excellence, but there are a lot of intangibles, which I'm sure when you're talking with the next generation about entrepreneurship, about mindset, that you try to hit home on that. For the audience member that's listening to this that may never get into the trades, may never get into real estate, but we're talking universal here. What are some of the intangibles that you would say are key, and maybe those same things are what you look for when you build your team?
All right, so I'll lead this right into Boom Zeal DNA, right? Because there are things, but I'll fixate on our core 5, being SCARD, what that means. And this is what rings true to me inside of my ecosystem. And I started by thinking that this defines my employees, right? You're like, what are our core values? Then I'm like, wait a second. Why would I not want to be around people who personify these values in everything I do? I want a supermarket that embodies these values. I want a realtor that embodies these values. I want to be in a group that embodies these values. Because guess what? That makes me feel more like me. I'm amongst the right tribe. And that's what I feel like I've been building as a tribe, and it started internally inside of my service businesses. It's not practice, it's real, but so here's 5 things. SCARD, SCARD, solution oriented, collaborative, accountable, resilient, and dynamic. Those are my favorite people. And the way I think of it is that it's not like people who are only 10 out of 10 at those things. I'm not 10 out of 10 at those things, right? Yeah. But it's people who recognize, you know what? Yeah, that resonates. I want to be more of those things. Those are things that I can all get down with. I may be a 0 out of 10. I may be a wet noodle that has no resilience, but man, oh man, I want to work on it.
Right. So your positioning is that anybody could be all of those things to some degree.
And we could all be more of those things.
Right.
And I like to be around people who are SCARD.
So you keep using the word SCARD. Tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that.
Yeah, it literally is who you are, how you show up, right? So
when you say SCARD, you mean what you've been through, the battle. You're what
so
you're made
there's
up of.
There's a play on it, right? Because I am I'm kind of like a failure addict in a way. I am, fear is a thing that it controls you until you just keep facing it, right? Fear of starting, fear of failing, fear of the unknown, fear. So for me, in my life, what I've tried to do to build up character is just face things that I'm uncertain about, right? Face uncertainty. Whether that was signing up for a triathlon when I didn't know how to swim, right? I created the conditions for myself to be uncomfortable.
You did that.
Yeah. And I say didn't know how to swim, like I could float, I could
Fair
do
enough.
like this.
Yeah, well, triathlon swimming's not, in the pool.
I signed up one day just to do a distance run, like a 10K or something, because I was always athletic, and then I was like, well, I wonder if I could run for, whatever it is, 6 miles. Like, I've never done that, so like, let me sign up for that. Let me throw my hat. I wound up doing the New York City half marathon by accident, because I had some colleagues who were like, oh, let's go in the lottery. And I got into that. And then, like, who you become by facing hard things, and again, there are harder things. Like, I'd love to eventually do an Ironman or whatever, climb the Empire State Building, because I'm a Spider-Man freak. The point is face discomfort, face it head on.
Right.
And then there's like the line, right? There's the line of, I'm building myself up, and then you start to get a little reckless, right?
So get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Yes.
Bam.
Yes. And here's because life is going to make you uncomfortable, whether you like it or not. Like, not every job is going to work out. You might get fired or you might quit. You might start a business. It might not work. You might get into a relationship. You might get dumped or it might not work. Like, people you love are going to die. You're going to die. Is anything that you do going to be worth it? Like, what do you have on the other side? Like, what's legacy? Is legacy money? Like, there are millions of stories out there about people who had more money than God, and they'll take their own lives. They're miserable.
Right,
they're reinventing themselves. Like, hint, money ain't the answer, right? I view money as fuel, as gasoline, but then what are we chasing? I think that if the more that you could be yourself, like in authenticity, all day, every day, again, as max as you can get, being realistic, like that's a life worth living. Because even if I don't see the age 42 and I only get as far as I'm at right now, did I kind of go out on my terms, living my life in a way that like I respect? Because no offense, I don't give a shit what you think about me, my life, and what I've done. But what do I think? Because that's the only thing that should matter.
We spend so much time worrying about what other people think.
Yeah.
Right? And
what do you really want? Is it what you want, or is it what you've been programmed to want? So
and it's that type of self-reflection. And I mean, truly, the only life we live is right now in the moment. Everything else is in the past, and everything beyond that is
it ain't
uncertain.
here.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So if you're listening to this right now, or you're watching this right now, wait till the end of the episode. Then get out and do something. Right?
Get out and do. And look, the dream is real, right? The dream is real. That means this is the dream. And if your dream sucks, change it, right? Act.
Right.
Do something. Because this is real. And if it doesn't feel real, then wake yourself up.
Right. Real hard to pivot to plumbing now.
Come on, man. There you go.
That's it. I love that. You got your poo squeezer there. You bring that with you everywhere you go.
We got props, man. I know it's coming here. I wanted to make sure you guys felt the love.
This is awesome, and again, the pink is a bold color.
Stands out, right?
It does. It stands out.
But I'll tell you what, you see the pink and you're like, oh wow, I'll remember that. But what are you going to remember about it? You remember the color? What does it stand for? Right?
Right. What do you think the pink stands for in the way of One Tom Plumbing?
Yeah. So I could say...
One Tom Plumber, excuse me.
I could say what it stands for, but the truth is, it's like the proof is in the pudding, right? Like, it's how you show up time and time again. It's consistency. Like, I was applauding your operation and what you guys do in terms of consistency with having this dialogue with your audience, with your following. Like, if you just stop doing this, you fall off. A lot of people fall off a lot of things. There are a lot of great, companies and ideas that never go end to end, wire to wire, with saying who they are and delivering on it day after day after day. Let's be honest, McDonald's isn't the brand that it is because they're the best hamburger in the world. But you know exactly what you're going to get every single time.
Right.
So who is One Tom Plumber? What does the pink mean? What does the pink plunger stand for? It stands for, yes, it does stand for those values. It's powered by the SCARD philosophy. I define ourselves by 3 things. I call it the standard, all right? So I say this to all our people, and this is what we publicly say. Number 1, be a protector, all right? we are protectors. Number two, we're on call till it's fixed. Right? So we always answer the bell. There's that accountability again, the idea of being solution oriented. It comes through. And number three, bring the energy, right?
Right.
So what was I saying about the pink? Pink is a color you got to live up to. You can't, it's no ho-hum electric pink.
Yeah, you're right. Your clothes can't be bolder than you are.
Yeah.
Or they shouldn't. You shouldn't hide behind the clothes.
Yeah.
So you're saying, wear something bold and be bolder.
Be bold, and not bold for the sake of it, right? You don't want to be controversial, but I'll tell you who we're not. We're not chain smoking, cigarette smelling, ass crack, muddy boot plumbers.
Right.
You know? That's not who we are.
You know, I hear you say that, and I hear just committed to excellence, right, in what you do.
Excellence is right. You set a high bar. Do you always hit it? As long as we're striving, and that's so. Bring the energy means you may not always be able to control the outcome, control the inputs, right? Bring your best every day. What I tell my team sometimes is like, we want to think that we got 100% every day. Well, guess what? Your bucket ain't full to start with every single day, but give me the best you got and be honest and be real. And honestly, if you need a mental health day, if you just did the after hours shift and you worked all weekend, you know, and you're ground out, say something, tag out, and guess what? Tag somebody else in, because you got to be a team. You got to be a tribe, and don't let the product, the brand suffer because you're going to go out there and lay an egg, you know, because every day we're out there trying to impress and make first introductions and repeat clients that we're serving who've come to expect a standard. So we got to deliver on that time and time again. So I want to be held to a high standard,
regardless of the circumstance. Because when I hear Boom Zeal, I hear you know, boom, bold action, right, and zeal, unstoppable enthusiasm, and that cannot only be in light of whatever circumstances are going on. You might walk into, walk into
a shitty situation, yeah?
And how are you going to keep the same level of intensity? Not intensity, but enthusiasm.
Who are you under pressure, right? You're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be uncomfortable on the job. You're going to be uncomfortable in life. So it goes back to what we were talking about before. Who are you underneath it all? What are you? What's revealed when a little bit of pressure is applied? Are you going to crack? You know? And it's not about perfection. Like sometimes excellence isn't the outcome, because things are hard. You know, things can be complex. You want to call it a plumbing problem, whatever it is. So how are you going to get through it? Are you going to own it? You're going to wave the white flag. And this is true in life. This is true for young people, middle-aged people, old people. If you're human, if you're flesh and blood, like you're going to go through it. You're going to have, there's a roller coaster. So how do we modulate it so that the highs aren't so high that we forget that things come back down and then we spend too much time in the lows? So I love how you talk about Boom Zeal. I mean, when we start the Boom Zeal podcast, man, it's in the you and me.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Because you get it. It's the idea that it goes back to the pink, right? You got to live up to it. That's the way I think about it. So I don't need a lot of help. You asked me what motivates me in terms of what music would I listen to in the car. I don't need it artificially. It has to exist inside of me. I got to just tap into that infinite energy and do something productive with it. That's how I feel, and I like to share it. And I love people who I can infect with that.
Right.
You know, and people who are around me, they'll tell you. You know, sometimes they feel more infected than others, but they get it. They know what wavelength I operate on, the intentionality. And those are the kind of businesses, the solutions, the services that I take pride in building and offering and sharing with the public.
Awesome. I like the way you put that, if you don't mind me paraphrasing what you just said, that don't rely on the external drivers, rely on work on the internal driver, right? That's what I hear when you say that. So, I mean, look, we could talk for a long time here. One of the things that really stood out that we were talking a little bit of shop, but off air, is about knowing your house.
Yeah.
So for those who buyers, sellers, homeowners, I know that understanding what's under your roof is important. Just like understand, right? You got to work on the internal, understanding what's on the inside. The house is the same way.
Oh, I like what you did there.
Right? So I'm getting pretty good.
I'm going to use that.
But you at one, was it through One Tom Plumber that you've come
We
with
launched
that
the plan.
protection plan? Let's talk about that, because I think all of our audience can benefit from the mindset of this, and also if you're here locally can take advantage of this program.
Yeah, so and I'm going to start with its roots, right? So I told you 7 years ago I launched my first business, brick and mortar service business on Long Island, United Water Restoration. You know what our tagline is? We are your plan for the unplanned. Okay? Because let's be honest, water damage sucks. Ask anybody who's filed an insurance claim. Ask anybody who's dealt with a severe storm.
Been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Right? That's all you got. Maybe you got, look, you probably got some scars to prove, because that's a process. Enduring that, even if you have, I had insurance and the company was great, like having water damage, experiencing that, and we'll stick with water. There's a lot of other perils, but experiencing water damage sucks. It doesn't just damage your flooring and your walls and the kid's bedroom or the playroom or the kitchen, right? And even if you have the best contractor in the world, maybe it's us, I don't know. We were voted best of Long Island 5 years in a row. Shameless plug, all right? I don't want, and I used to, when that was the only business card I had to give out, I said, I hope you never have to use it, right? I hope you never have to call me, but I exist to bail you out of a disastrous situation. So why did I launch One Tom Plumber? Well, it was to get upstream. As an entrepreneur, it would be like, oh, it's the lead funnel, right? It's, well, plumbers and plumbing leaks lead to restoration. Yes, fact. There's synergy in my ecosystem, but not just, if you look at my car, it's unimpressive. It's not so that I can go show off and look good. It's because I want to provide valuable solutions to the marketplace. And I felt like another service that we could offer ahead of restoration is plumbing. So great, calling me with a small problem in the middle of the night is better than calling me with a huge problem. All right, that's how we help. But what about planning for the unplanned? Well, now One Tom Plumber has its own plan for the unplanned. So whereas United exists to clean up water damage, One Tom exists to prevent water damage. Remember I said, right. Number one, be a protector. We are in the protection business. But how often you sell a home, and unless you're buying cash for it, you got to have insurance on it, right? What are we paying in insurance in Long Island? $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 at least for a basic policy, where every year your premiums go up. But I don't know if you've noticed, your coverage, like the indemnification, the quality of what you get for it, it goes down.
Right.
This is what's happening. You're paying more and you're getting less. So do you know what we do now for $1.99?
What's that?
$199 or $19.99 a month. We call it the Pink Protection Plan. And it's designed to be your plumber on retainer, your protection system for your pipes. It is our way of arming and defending your home against water damage potential. Because I'll tell you what, it's great to have a 20-year-old water heater. That means that you haven't had to buy a new one. You know what isn't great? When your 20-year-old water heater doesn't make it to 21 years old because it bottoms out and it floods your damn lowest level, right? So how about you bring somebody in, you're supposed to go to the doctor once a year for a physical, right? Okay, when's the last time your house had a physical? So you can't see a lot of the stuff that's going on under the surface. Beautiful, it's like an exterior. This is an interior, but it's like an exterior because the interior is the infrastructure. It's the bones, it's the pipes that, guess what? Long Island's getting old. Your average home was probably built in the 50s, 60s, or 70s. Your home might be a little newer, a little older than that, right? So what's going on, and do I have a plan to stop those bad things from happening? So it includes free house calls. What's a house call? It means that we get a plumber to your door for $0. Oh, I could call anybody, give me a free estimate. No. We're not coming to try to sell you something or tell you something's broken. Like, we want to be preventative about educating you, giving you estimates. Like, you can go shopping for groceries. How do you go shopping for plumbing repairs or upgrades?
Yeah.
So how do you make a decision? If you know how to decide whether I should buy like the organic milk or the regular milk. But like if a plumber doesn't just take the time to answer your questions, spot observations, sometimes we also need to be held accountable. I'm a homeowner. Do you know how many times I put stuff off? Like, I need to be on this plan, having one of my own guys come to my house regularly. Do you think I'm even following my own advice? No, and I'll probably have a clog and an overflow one of these days because I didn't maintain and hydrojet my main lines. Like, and then I'm gonna look back and be like, oh shit, I should really be, I should be taking my own medicine. you know? And how often does that happen, whether you're unprepared or you know you should be prepared and you're not doing anything about it? So we designed our plan to help either the new homeowner, the long-standing homeowner, because I'll tell you what, the longer you've been responsible for a property, the more shit has happened in the meantime. So what are you doing to avoid your next headache? And how do you take a migraine or a brain explosion and turn it into a headache or less, right? I mean, it's mitigation. So mitigation in the restoration industry is making a big, wet, messy disaster less disastrous, cleaning it up. Mitigation in the plumbing business is taking a high risk, high water damage potential and bringing it down as low to zero as possible. That's what the plan exists to do.
So for $199 a year or $19.99 a month, probably everybody listening to this has a subscription out there that has been running that you're not using. That is probably 3 times that you can get some real value here.
And I talked about one thing to relate it to. How about your insurance policy, right? If you were sitting down and signing your insurance policy up and you're paying thousands, if the insurance agent said, "Hey, we have a rider that comes with a plumber on speed dial with all these benefits, discounts, proactive,"
all over
it. It would fly off the shelves. So my job is to be the mouthpiece that helps you realize, oh, if I think of it like another TV channel, right, one of these streaming subscriptions, or I think of it like a rider on my insurance policy. Wow, there are a lot of ways to use this product. So I got to be the dancing pink monkey that talks about it.
Well, if anyone out there wants to talk to a dancing pig monkey, how would they get in touch with you?
It's really simple, man. You see this? One Tom Plumber. The name is the number. All right, we made it that simple. We're your pink easy button. You only have to remember the name or the number, and you know both.
You just call One Tom Plumber.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, another great episode. Thanks very much.
Good times.
Thank you for tuning in. This is the Dream is Real podcast. If you want to find us on Instagram or TikTok, search at Dream Select Realty, on X at Dream Select Home. If you want to be part of this program, send an email over to hometeam@dreamselectrealty.com. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Just remember, the dream is real.